Hello everybody, welcome to Full Time Devils. My name is Stephen Howson. This is the Manchester United Leicester City preview, and I'm joined by three absolute legends: Statman, Dave, Paul from Rant, and Gaz from Tut Radio. How's it going, everybody?
Magic, mate.
All good, my mate.
Right, we have got a lot to talk about today. We have got some big news that's just happening today. Some, for Dave, probably sad news. For Paul, some very happy news. And for Gaz, some news.
Relatively indifferent.
Right, let's kick it off then with, let's talk about Ole Gunnar. Hang on, before we get into that, you might have gone, hold up, what's going on here? That looks a little bit different. And it might even sound a little bit different because we've not managed to soundproof it just yet, but we are in the new Full-Time Devils studio. That needs changing, doesn't it? Straight away, off the bat. 500,000 big ones. Hang on. If I've done my maths right, and Dave, you can check me working out here. If I've done my maths working out right,
Jeez.
if every single person that's watching this video goes and tells a friend, or every single person that's subscribed to Full-Time Devils goes and tells a friend, hey, subscribe to this, we hit 1 million by tomorrow morning. Am I right or am I wrong?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
That's
how it
that's what you
works.
call viral content, kind of. Anyway, so go and tell your friends to subscribe to Full-Time Devils, or I'm going to trip you up when you're trying to get a bus. Right, let's get into what we're going to do for today's video then. So it did have to end. Paul, Solskjaer's reign, he didn't manage to completely obliterate all of the records for games won in a row, but it felt pretty damn good whilst he was doing it, didn't it?
No, it's magic. And even the Burnley game, obviously there's some frustrations about that Burnley game, but the fact that the winning run ended with a spectacular comeback to at least mean that we remain unbeaten, I think is really significant. I think one of the things we needed to see, that's the first time we've been behind under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We needed to see how he reacted, how the collective reacted, and it shouldn't actually be a surprise that the collective reacted well to going behind, because even under Mourinho, that was something that was consistently happening. I say consistently, I don't mean every time, but there was a pattern where we would...
Yeah, we'd go behind pretty often, yeah.
Yeah, that part was definitely true, but we'd also get back into it. I think that game was very significant in a positive sense, to be honest. I don't think it's an arbiter of doom and gloom. I think the performance drop can be explained in large part by a change in personnel. I think basically everyone that was brought into that game, almost nobody that was brought in played that well. And that's partly because they haven't played a lot of football, partly because some of them were playing out of position, and partly because some of them lack experience. But basically, I don't think that was a disaster in the slightest. And it's going to be telling what happens at Leicester, but I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of bounce right back on the W train.
Gaz, what do you make of the reaction to the draw?
What has the reaction been? Have people been upset about it?
Well, this is it. There hasn't been a major reaction, so that's what do you make of the reaction? Did you expect any sort of flashback? Did you expect there to be people being as pragmatic as they have been? Like, what do you make of it?
I was worried that I'd see people in the replies to Man United when they tweeted the full-time score, like genuinely, seriously saying that was a massively worrying result and massively concerning for the rest of the season. No, it wasn't. It was a Wednesday night game against Burnley and there were 4 goals in the game. Could you imagine that happening a few months ago?
Definitely happened on Tuesday, guys, but apart from that, you're right.
Okay, yeah, well, you know what I'm saying. It was like the best way that you could possibly drop points, really, wasn't it? Like, if you're going to drop points, do it with like that, with 2 goals right at the end to show real bottle. Mate, you can still tell in that game that things have changed. The chances we were making in the first half, we probably should have scored, to be honest, before the half-time whistle. Obviously made it difficult for ourselves, but yeah, a bad result in the end, but the way we did it, you've got to be happy, man. It's so different. And I've seen some people actually online as some sort of backlash pointing out that Jose beat Burnley earlier in the season. And
well,
I mean,
Sir Alex lost to Burnley, if you want to start playing that game.
I mean, come on. I don't even need to say why that's absolute garbage. Look at what Ollie's done in his time there. It's been amazing. And look, what is it? What was it, 8 wins and 1 draw? I mean, come on. Got to be happy, haven't we?
Dave, we have gone from 6th to 6th in that time, which is a little bit disappointing, but we've absolutely chopped the legs out of Arsenal and Chelsea underneath us, and if we'd have managed to get the win on Tuesday night, we would now be level on points with those going into this back end of the season. We've got a hell of a run of big games coming up. How do you feel about going into them without Marouane Fellaini, who, as at the time of recording, is on his way to China to sign for...
Who cares?
No one cares.
Sad. Right, me and Marwan have come far. My first video for Full-Time Devils on YouTube, the entire platform was about Marwan Fellaini. So we've been through it
Press
together.
play for him, Jesus
the
Christ.
Journey.
We're joined by Squawker Dave. He's got a load of Squawker stats to tell us all about the man we've bid a derisory and insulting amount for. That is...
Squawker Fellaini. Marwan Fellaini.
Yeah, Fellaini. Do we want him?
I think we do. I think he'll add a lot to our side in terms of flexibility. Could play him in Europe against the big sides. I wouldn't want to play against a big man with a big afro.
It's been a good journey. You take the recent success of Manchester United, the FA Cup, the League Cup and the Europa League. Marwan Fellaini getting involved in goals in each of those runs. You take the Europa League, scored in the semi, assisted in the final. Similar with the FA Cup run under Louis van Gaal. So Fellaini's been a good stopgap. Yeah, maybe be sort of remembered as the Fellaini years in a way after Sir Alex Ferguson and the transition that's come from Manchester United. But let's not forget, Marwan Fellaini has never, ever thrown his toys out of the pram in a situation where he stopped playing for the club and stopped trying. The fans have been on his back. There's some stuff that I've seen with Fellaini, like boos at Old Trafford, that you're like, what is going on here, guys? Like, Marwan Fellaini is a limited footballer. Don't get me wrong, but if you play a certain way, you can have Fellaini in your team. Maybe it's not the United way, but it's a way that works. So to look back on Fellaini's tenure at Manchester United, it was a good ride. It was a fun ride. He continued to do that this season. The equaliser against Derby County, the goal against Young Boys, like still impacting games. But the problem with Mourinho and the use of him before is it was too much. Marwan Fellaini was plan A. Marwan Fellaini is a perfect plan B, but he's not a plan A. And I think that's how you got to remember Marwan Fellaini at United fondly. The Europa League, that's a big moment for him. So, it's sad, but it's time for him to move on. It's time for Manchester United's midfield to evolve and move on under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So, you've just got to accept it. But it's been a good journey with Marwan Fellaini.
I'm not going to agree that it's sad. I am not sad.
It's frustrating when you think back to Fellaini's time, though, with like Dave said, the great attitude that he's had. We could have utilised a player like that perfectly as a squad player and as a plan B consistently for the last few years, and he probably wouldn't have thrown his toys out the pram, and he would have been quite successful at United. The problem was when he was starting so many games against Sevilla in the Champions League. That was the worst one, and he had a dreadful game there and probably knocked us out.
He's not picking himself. He just has to go on the pitch.
No, I know.
That's one of the things that's been taken away with him.
It's not his fault. I'm not saying that.
There's a kind of counter-orthodoxy, Dave, of like, there's obviously, there's a lot of people that...
Paul, you can't throw words around like that this late in the afternoon.
Sorry. There's, because of the boos and stuff at Old Trafford and the abuse that he gets on social media, which neither of those things are acceptable or sensible, and because of that, there is a kind of excessive, and because he did make these contributions in big moments, there's almost like a black and whiteness about the way he's perceived. Like, there's either the people that hate him or the people that like him. But the truth is, you said it perfectly when you said he's an excellent plan B, but he wasn't good enough as a plan A, and he was used too often as a plan A, and that isn't his fault. Although I wonder whether he would have stuck around as long as he did had he not been given some assurances that he's not just going to be used as a substitute. Because I'm absolutely not convinced that he was just happy to be plan B the whole time.
No, I don't think.
But at the same time, he's done that. You know what I mean? He's done that, and we can't look at the hypothetical. We need to look at what he's done, and he's never been in a situation where he's not turned up and played for the shirt, and that is the biggest thing that you want to see as a Man United fan, is players playing for the Man United badge. And Fellaini's always done that. Every single time he comes on, gives 100% effort. Maybe that effort's not going to, win him the Ballon d'Or. He's not going to score 15 goals a season, but he's going to do a job and he's going to put tackles in. Think of a lot of the big games as well, like the City games that we've won in recent years against Liverpool. Like, Fellaini seems to always be there, and he always being disruptive, like the elbow on David Silva. Being physical. It's kind of like there is these positives with him.
There are, but he's also been absolutely terrible a lot of the time. Like, and I think it's fine to acknowledge
the good times. Right?
Sorry.
Righty, let's move it on anyway. Let's talk about a player who is probably universal praise at the moment, except for Graham Souness, and that is Paul Pogba. Dave, talk to me about Paul Pogba. How good does he look? Is there a better midfielder in the world at the moment than what Paul Pogba's been this last 5-6 games?
No, he's been very good. Yeah, I think he's been excellent. I think the way that he's played in both systems that United have played under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been absolutely perfect. I think allowing Paul Pogba a little bit more freedom and getting him out of his own defensive third is what you do to sort of evolve Paul Pogba as a player. So it's been exciting. It's been good to see him carry Manchester United's attack in a way. In the attacking third, he's been really contributing with goals and assists. Yeah, he scored some penalties, but at the same time, he's Man United's key guy. So it's been exciting to see his evolution under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the freedom that he's playing with. But I think it's with Paul, I think decision making will be something that will really come. I think there's some times over the last few games where United have been counter-attacking and he either makes the wrong decision or he slightly overhits his pass. But that will come. He's still a very young central midfielder. So as soon as Paul Pogba was consistently making the right decision, he's going to be an even scarier player. And that is the crazy side of Paul Pogba. He's absolutely flying at the moment, scoring goals, grabbing assists, making things happen. But this isn't his peak. And that's why it's kind of the most exciting part of Paul Pogba right now, is that he has another level to go to.
The reason I was bringing up Paul Pogba is because it's 7 years on from his league debut from United. So Paul, I'll go to you on that one. How do you think he's getting on at the moment? And do you think we've seen the final form of Paul Pogba? Do you think there's more to come from him?
No, I couldn't agree more with Dave. I think there's definitely more to come with it from him, and it is beautiful to see him in form. And it really makes watching United exciting to watch Pogba in form. It's one of the things where you look at the team sheet and it's like, oh yes, Pogba's playing. Going to get to watch Pogba in action. I remember when he signed him, that was. We signed Pogba and Zlatan in the same summer window, and I was just super excited.
Didn't wear pants for a month.
just to see them every week, and it isn't always about results or them even having to put up the numbers or things like that. It's just seeing excellence in action. It's so exciting, and I think 7 years on from his league debut, he's won the World Cup, he's won 4 league titles in Italy, he's won the Europa League, he's won the League Cup. He won a bunch of Coppa
That's
Italia.
how it goes on his shelf. It's got World Cup, League Cup.
Yeah, exactly. But the
FA Youth Cup.
You mentioned Graham Souness, and actually Trevor Francis. There's this clip that's gone round from beIN Sports where Trevor Francis, in fact, the question that was asked on the tweet from beIN Sports was like, is Trevor Francis being harsh here? And what Francis said was that you'll never win anything with Paul Pogba in the side. So he's not being harsh, he's being massively factually inaccurate. Yeah, exactly.
He's just playing wrong.
If you'd said to Pogba, this is where you'll be in 7 years' time, I think he'd probably have bitten your hand off, wouldn't he? He'd have been delighted.
Back at United, but with nearly 100 million in transfer fees.
and a World Cup.
Gaz, it's not necessarily an opinion I agree with, but there's a lot of United fans that would like to see Paul Pogba given the captaincy once Antonio Valencia very likely moves on. What would you feel like on that? Would you think he's someone that could be a captain? I've seen the team talk he gave before the World Cup in the dressing room. There's rumours that he was trying to unite the players behind Jose Mourinho despite his personal fallout with him. Do you think he could be a good captain?
I don't know what he's like in the dressing room, mate. If I'm judging him on what he's like on the pitch and how he has been the last few weeks, I think he's been great and definitely worthy of a Man United captaincy. But we don't know what he's like in the dressing room. My worry comes with Paul Pogba when things aren't going great. When things are going great, you can tell he loves his football and he enjoys himself and he's getting on with everyone. I do feel like he's one of those players, though, that he's not the type of player to grab everyone by the scruffs of the necks and bring them back in the game and drag them back into it. He's not that type of guy. So I wouldn't have him for a captain personally.
He did in the World Cup, though, because France were terrible at the beginning of that tournament, and he was a big part of the reason that he literally dragged them through games. Like against Australia, it was him that was making it happen. And then once they came good, he was massively important on the pitch. And like Steve said, we've seen off the pitch, and you can tell that everyone in the squad likes him. Like he's incredibly. Well, maybe not everyone, but yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think in 2019, I think you need that. I don't think you can win with fear anymore.
Yeah, not just football has changed, but actual people, humans have changed, haven't they? And I think that Pogba does embody that a lot at the minute. I think he's a great player, and I'm sorry to go full Yadar here as well, by the way. But one negative I will say about Paul Pogba, big negative, he needs to stop that frigging penalty run up. Seriously, it's going to give me an anxiety attack if he does it one more time. The whole crowd groans every time he does it. Ronaldo used to do it even worse.
And then he scores.
Yeah.
I know.
What if now he's putting it in the goalkeeper's mind, so they don't know how long his run-up's going to be. It's wigging out the goalkeeper. He's the most chill guy in the stadium when that's happening.
I know, but he is.
As long as he scores. If he misses like 4 or 5 on the bounce, let's get it out the door. But while he's scoring penalties...
I'm only joking. Do what you want as long as he puts it in the net.
Right, let's cut to a very quick ad break. That was the ad break. Enjoy that. Here's the starting 11s. I'm going to start with you, Gaz, this week. You are terrible at this, let's be honest. You are almost bottom of the league, apart from James, who got 4, which I think if you was throwing at like a dartboard, you'd probably get more than 4, but he got 4. You're on 7.2. Paul, you're on 8.4. It's an average, guys. It doesn't matter how many appearances you've had. It can go up or down. It's an average. Paul, you've had 8.4 as yours, and Dave, you are on 8.7. So, Gaz, let's give you...
Steve, please add that as well.
No, because you're not the current leader. You're 4th. So, that's... In the way it goes down, not current leader. And tell my dog to shut up as well. So, let's go with your team, Gaz, and let's see what it's saying.
Right, David Nett, Young, Lindelof, Smalling and Shaw along the back 4. Might be Jones, but maybe I prefer it for Smalling. Since he came off the bench, didn't he? So he might be ready to start. Fred, Matic, Herrera in the midfield, and Lingard, Rashford, Sanchez up top. 4-3-3.
All right, Gaz isn't going anywhere in that leaderboard with that one. Before we move on to Paul, we are recording this before we've seen the press conference, so if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer basically gives us the team news, these lads aren't aware of it, not that it would have helped Gaz anyway. So Paul, give us your starting 11.
I liked it, Gaz. It was bold. I've gone with Dave, Young, Lindelof, Jones and Shaw. Maybe Smalling come back in, but I guess I'd still be a little surprised by that at this point. I've gone with Herrera, Matic and Pogba out of hope, because I just don't want to see us play a game without Paul Pogba in it. But if it turns out he's terribly injured, then I'll be very sad. And then I'll go Lingard, Rashford. This last choice is really hard because obviously if Martial's fit, he'll play. Yeah. I wonder whether Juan Mata might get another game, but he wasn't particularly effective, and there are systemic questions there. Sanchez is obviously a potential, but I'm going to go with my heart, which is why I'm not winning this series this season, and I'm going to go with Anthony Martial and hope that both Pogba and Martial make a miraculous recovery.
I think that's the question mark, and it is whether Sanchez comes in there. I think that's very obvious. Apart from that, I also think if depends what he goes system-wise, you might see Lukaku up there. I really liked what we were doing in a diamond. Maybe not right for this game. Certainly something I would like to see against Liverpool and PSG, but we'll get to that when we get to those. Dave, what are you going for? Formation and starting 11, please.
It's a little bit difficult. Again, this Paul Pogba injury, apparently it was because of a lot of hard tackles from the Burnley players, as you expect when you play Sean Dyche's side. So could be one of those things where it's just like a muscle injury, a bit of bruising, which means he'll be fully fit and to play. But we'll come into midfield in a sec. I'd go probably 4-3-3, De Gea, Young, Lindelof, Bailly, Delot. I'd probably play Bailly and Delot over Jones and Luke Shaw at the moment. Just I think they might fit this a little bit better, especially Bailly over someone like Phil Jones. He looked a little bit leggy against Burnley. And Delot's impressed me going forward on the left-hand side as much as he has on the right-hand side. So I'd like to see him start into midfield. Herrera, Matic, and then I'm going to go Fred. I think Pogba may come off the bench, but I don't think he'll start. And then a front three of Rashford, Lingard, and Anthony Martial. I think that'll be the team.
Interesting. Anthony Martial has just extended his contract to 2024 as well, which is there was impromptu parties. I seen like people just cheering. There was a man naked with a megaphone. All that happened down Market Street in this afternoon, and it was all 100% because Tony Marshall's extended his contract. The form that he's in, absolutely fantastic. Delighted with that, and I think it's fair to say he's currently scored the best goal of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era. I lost my pants after that. That was unbelievable. Right, let's go into the opposition. Gaz, you are our resident expert on opposition, so what do you reckon about Leicester? That's what I
no, Leicester, they're one of those. I mean, we know the key players, but they're one of those teams where if you're making mistakes and you're not concentrating, they're going to punish you. Vardy definitely will punish that defence, and I'm talking specifically about Phil Jones if he does start. So I do hope it's not Phil Jones starting, just to avoid any potential mistakes. Look, they're a very dangerous team. We know that they're going to hit you with pace. They're going to go at you. Then they're going to be confident as well. Leicester, they're never really scared of the opposition, which is fair enough because they are a good team. But I think we should have enough confidence in our own ability, and if our players can concentrate, we should come out of this with a win.
Dave, Leicester riding high on the back of keeping the Premier League title challenge alive for at least another week. Thanks to them for that. But we've struggled against Leicester, haven't we? We've found them a little bit of a bogey team in recent years.
Yeah, we have. They've obviously got the pace on the counter attack. I think the game against Liverpool, I think they should have won that game. Really, they had chances. They had chances on the break. They had chances from set pieces. Harry Maguire always a threat from those situations, and Johnny Evans looked quite good at centre half as well. And they sort of frustrated Liverpool, which was something that they could do against Manchester United. James Maddison as well. Very, very good little player at number 10. Again, we saw that in the first league game. That was his first appearance in the Premier League. Look, easily their best player. So expect him to cause us a lot of problems behind Jamie Vardy. Vardy's going through an interesting patch of form, but does very well against the top sides. He's got an incredible record since coming to Leicester or getting promoted with Leicester City from the Championship against the likes of Liverpool, United, City, Chelsea, Spurs, and Arsenal. So he's always a threat. But if someone like Eric Bailly's playing for Manchester United with Lindelof, they've got pace, so it can cover the threat of Jamie Vardy. Again, that's the reason why I go with Bay over someone like a Phil Jones, who can get caught out in those situations. The Spurs game, a few times when Spurs had broken in behind him, he was sort of chasing shadows. So I definitely go with Bay just to deal with Jamie Vardy. Pereira, right back or right midfield, has been good for them as well, pushing down that right wing. So, he's another threat that did well in that first game against Manchester United. I think he created a really good chance for Maddison with the cutback. So there's always threats on the break, and Damari Gray's a player that he's got moments of brilliance in him, but also makes some bad decisions. Just a typical young player, really, but has a lot of pace and a lot of ability on the counter. So it's kind of like United managing that counter-attacking situation. Again, Ander Herrera is going to be crucial to retaining the ball in central midfield.
Paul, what do you reckon? Good time to play them, bad time to play them, looking forward to playing them?
Well, I think it's a completely different challenge, this season's version of Leicester. I think it'll be more similar. I'm not saying they're going to play as much in kind of behind the ball as Burnley did, but I think it would be more like playing Burnley last week than it was playing Leicester a couple of seasons ago, because they are really struggling for goals this season. They've scored just 29 goals. They've only conceded 29. So even though they're 10th in the league, which is a completely reasonable position for them to be in, a lot of their fans are really fed up with watching Claude Puel football, and this just happens to Claude Puel everywhere he goes, doesn't it? He's
actually a favourite in the sack race. I think he's 1 or 3 or something to get sacked, and Leicester fans are not digging him. And this is before they had a bit of a fall in the table as well, when he was 7th, which you think logically, I don't mean to belittle Leicester, but 7th is about as good as you're getting as Leicester. Let's not get ahead of yourselves, and they still want the guy out.
I completely get that, to be honest, because the thing about football is when it's boring, it doesn't really matter where you finish in the table, because what is the point? Really, especially if you're not going to win the league. Maybe if you're going to win the league, you can get away with being boring for a year, because that's enough excitement in itself. But I do get it, I have to say, even though there is a bit of an aspect of careful what you wish for about it. But Southampton, they had a bad time since they got rid of him. But now, I don't think there's too many Southampton fans that would take Puel over Hasenhüttl. Or is it Hussenhattel? I'll never remember. Anyway, one of the things that's really nice about this game, James Maddison's had an excellent season so far, especially a young player coming up from the Championship, to be putting up the numbers he has, but also the kind of assuredness and all that. It's pretty impressive. The one thing I'd say, though, is increasingly the way I'm starting to think about opposition teams is what are their weaknesses that United are going to exploit, rather than what are their strengths that we have to be afraid of. And that is a really nice change of mindset. It's so nice. It's such a relief. It's just good.
Paul, it says here on my little crystal finger in front of me, it says there's 13,052 kudos points available if you get the score right this week. I don't believe they're redeemable anywhere. They're like nectar points that you collect and never do anything with. Anyway, so give us your score prediction, but I also want your first goal scorer as well.
Okay, I'll go with Marcus Rashford, and I said 2-1 on our podcast, so to just spread the possibilities, I'll go with 2-0 here.
Okay. David, what is your score prediction and first goal scorer, please?
I'm going to go with Marcus Rashford, 5-1 United.
Wow. No. But no. Gaz, give us your score and goal scorer.
For 3-1 and first goal scorer, something a little bit left field, I'm going to go with Fred, because I think he'll play instead of Pogba and have a good game.
Wow. I guess I should join in. I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to say Alexis Sanchez with the first goal. That's what I'm going
Decent.
for. Give us your thoughts in the description. No, that's what we write. You write in the comments. Get your comments in below in the comment section, not the description section. Adam will be back for all of the fan cams at Leicester. Now he's not been on his holidays and all the rest of that sort of caper. So welcome him back after that, and we will see you in the next one. And let's hope it's now another win for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Red Army. See you in a bit.